It is that time, folks. You see one of these on every TYT Network channel when something big happens. I'm going to introduce you to a new face you should know. Jason Inman, you have been a guest on NerdAlert many times, but going forward, we're going to see you here a lot in a co-host chair.
And I apologize ahead of time.
No, listen. I was for this hire.
Oh, thank you.
I said, get that guy, pay him any price.
All I asked for was a movie pass. That's all I asked for.
No, we're happy to have you because
I'm so happy to be here too.
I feel like you are so well-versed and strong in a lot of different areas of nerddom. He did win the Schmodown Inner Geekdom.
That's true.
Belt. It's a belt.
Yes, it's the Inner Geekdom belt, Schmodown, over at Collider.com, yes.
Yeah, and when I first met you, I was like, this guy knows so much about comics because you are literally from a small town in Kansas and you know a lot about Superman.
I had nothing else to do. I literally, like when you grow up in a small town in Kansas on a farm, you have the library.
Libraries
that's all you got. That's it.
Everyone should be going to the library. They have comics and they have digital comics.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, like I spent a lot of my youth trying to figure out who all the people in the backgrounds of comics were, because I always say this, that when I read The Death of Superman, which was my first comic book ever, when all the heroes showed up
I remember that.
It's a big event.
My cousin had that poster in his room.
I did too.
And I was like, oh no, Superman. And it
Well,
was,
what happened? I thought he was actually gonna be dead for good.
As a child, I did too.
But when all the people showed up for his funeral, I was very much like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? It was the first time I ever realized that Batman and Wonder Woman exist in his universe. I thought they were separate because they're separate in the movies. And so like that became my obsession, even for the Marvel universe and the Image universe and the Valiant universe, figuring out like who are all these people and how are they all connected. So
you do a lot of cool things on your own as well.
I do.
So you are a veteran.
Yes, I'm a veteran with the U.S. Army. Yes.
And you have a massive comics drive for veterans.
Yes.
Or not veterans, current
soldiers and
soldiers
veterans.
and veterans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every November I run I call it the Jolwin Comic Drive for soldiers, and I team up with Operation Gratitude, who is a company that sends care packages to current troops and wounded veterans and their family members and stuff like that. And I do a drive to put comic books in these packages. We've done it 3 years in a row. Last year, I believe we hit over 40,000 comic books donated, which was pretty amazing.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure because I get to meet current soldiers, and they're like, I got a care package and it had comic books in it, and thank you. And it blows my mind every time it happens. But there are nerds in every industry, so that's the thing. Yeah.
War.
Yeah, including the military and the war, and they can't get comic books, so let's give them comic books. That was the idea behind the drive.
That's awesome. I've seen it, like, it's been growing exponentially.
Yeah, we've almost doubled it every year, which is great. And I don't want to nix us.
Okay, well you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah, but besides that, I host a podcast called Geek History Lesson, which is about teaching you about comic book characters. And also, I am a comic book writer now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you were gone last week because you were promoting your comic book.
I was in Portland, Oregon, promoting our comic book Jupiter Jet, which is in stores right now through Action Lab Entertainment. It's 5 issues, and it's about a 16-year-old girl with the jetpack. And I co-write it with my awesome wife, Ashley Victoria Robinson. And it is the idea that it's the comic book that's perfect for your grandmother or your 9-year-old kid, because I miss that we can't hand Batman to a 5-year-old anymore. I hate that we don't live in that world, and I wanted to make the comic book that's for everybody. That's great. So.
And you have, okay, I know the answer to this.
Uh-oh.
What are you the biggest fan of? What are your inner and outer geekdoms?
I think I'm the biggest fan of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Star Trek because, again, coming from my small town roots, the idea that humanity would kind of bring it all together and we'd figure it out. And also we'd meet the weird blue guy at the weird planet and we'd be friends with him too. Just really impressed me. I really wanted to join NASA when I was a kid because of that. I'm terrible at math. That's why I'm in this career.
Oh, you can do communications. It's okay.
But yeah, Star Trek is like probably my biggest fandom, really.
Yes, I've seen you hang out with Scott Mantz.
Yes.
As this,
The lovely Scott Mantz, yes.
this very focused Star Trek team. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I always say I love Star Wars and Star Trek. I don't think
do too.
You need to say a favorite because they're so different. And they're hard to compare to each other. I wish we lived in a Star Trek world.
Oh, yes.
And that goes into a lot of what I do on NerdAlert, which is I like to think about the future and what could be. And if we could set aside things that don't matter and focus on progressing humankind.
The best of us.
The best of us.
I mean, we kind of do. I mean, look at the set. I feel like we're on.
We're trying.
We're on a starship right now.
Well, we're building a new set, so that's fun for you to know, audience. So we have a lot of great things in store for you for the future of NerdAlert, and Jason is a big part of that. You can follow him on all the things, I believe, at Jawin.
Yep, at Jawin, at Jawin.
That is
the
a
first
weird
two letters
word.
of all three of my names, Jason William Inman. So there you go. You get to learn a little bit more about me, and I'm excited and honored to be here with you, Kim.
I'm so excited for what's to come.
Yeah,
Thanks
me
for
too.
being part of it.
No problem.